Hello everyone, welcome back to my vlog channel. Today we're going to be doing vlog number 2, and we are focusing again on reading pop culture as well as the rhetorical act. We are looking at chapter 13 in the rhetorical act and chapter 7 in reading pop culture. In the rhetorical act, the chapter 13, it discusses how the media technologies are influencing our messaging behavior, and it shapes the way we send and receive rhetorical acts. Understanding the medium of transmission builds on the fundamentals, resources, and special constraints presented in the earlier chapters. So as we read on, you'll be able to pull from each chapter that we read. Media is used as a rhetorical construct, which means essentially that all media messages are constructed. Media messages uses a language with its own rules, so they have their own reasons why they are constructed to do. Also, even though people are seeing and reading the same media messages, they are interpreting them in a different way. For example, if you're writing to someone in a text or on social media like Snapchat or Instagram, the way you send it could be the way you wanted to say it, but based on how they read it and how they construct and analyze it, it could mean a different story. That's why it's always better to talk in person, and media is always iffy on the actual representation of the message overall. It's also said that media are extraordinarily influential because they acquire intellectual and moral authority. It's always important to think of the context in which things are being sent and being taken in, because the way someone reads a message in the media could differ from someone else who may read the same message. So two people can read the same message, but one can think this way and then one can think of another way. But it's the same message, but with just two different meanings. And that could be more than two people. So just imagine how many people are reading it and how many different meanings are coming up to that. So that was the rhetorical act for chapter 13, a little synopsis of that. Now we'll move into reading pop culture, chapter 7. In chapter 7, the topic of which they all go into, all the essays, they are going to be paired up under the topic of immersive media, can we get lost and can we be found in media? And the following essays, which will be going more into depth, will be by Knox with his on novel reading, Brenner, teen literature and fan culture, Frank Rose, the art of immersion, fear and fiction, Chuck Klosterman, My Zombie Myself, Why Modern Life Feels Rather Undead, as well as Jacob Burok's Escape from the Matrix, and finally Bo Moore with Why Video Games Should Be Played with Friends, Not Online Strangers. So to begin, we'll start off with Knox. His main thing was today most people are blinded by the media's rhetoric and they don't realize that they're being influenced by it. So in these reading pop culture essays, it's evident that rhetoric is being used to influence, persuade, as well as impact their audiences. In their first reading, so on novel reading by Vicesimus Knox, he dives into explaining how Americans today are blinded by easy reading. In the beginning to about 50 years ago, he explains how romance novels are being written and the image of perfection was distributed to society. Patterns of perfection were stimulating emulation to aim at it, so aimed at the readings that were being written 50 years ago. So his topic was basically meaning how today's society is reading what is easy and what is quick to read. In the second essay, Teen Literature and Fan Culture by Robin Brenner, she focuses on fan culture and how it is works that have been reinvented by teens after reading. So fans are reading and then interpreting it in their own way as if they would have written it or continued in it most cases. So mostly teens these days, they're reading these books and there's no second book or there's no like what happens after, so they're writing it themselves. I didn't get that. It's called fan fiction, but for teens it's a creative outlet for them to write and share with millions across the world, based off apps like Wattpad. That's pretty popular for people to use and to write on and share. Many famous writers actually start out writing as teens in fan fiction, and the creativity that is shared within one writer is shaping literature all over the world. These writers are able to take their own uses of rhetoric and place it within their own literature. So that was the second essay. The third essay is The Art of Immersion, Fear of Fiction by Frank Rose. And Rose is specifically writing about video games and their purpose to providing a different kind of story. And this means that in this kind of entertainment, it's provided many different kinds of problem solving, creative oversight, and overall the execution of different skill sets. Their rhetoric is based on their drive for creativity for new games and persuasion for people to continue to play their games. So they're working every day and all the time to come up with new and more challenging games for kids to play. From first, it was books that gave society the chance to exit the real world, but now it is video games and games that offer the chance to explore imagination and jump into a new reality. In Chuck Klosterman's My Zombie Myself, Why Modern Life Feels Rather Undead, Klosterman discusses his view on how zombies and society are essentially the same. Yes, zombies and society. So I thought it was funny how society watches shows like The Walking Dead and how people are so infatuated with watching how zombies live doing the same thing over and over again. And in the essay, Klosterman uses satirical rhetoric to develop the idea that society is just of that as a zombie. He believes that we are just like zombies and we do the same daily things all the time, just as a zombie would. In his essay, he uses satirical rhetoric. We all have routines that we follow every day, yet we criticize and laugh at the zombie for doing the same. So it was just kind of a play on ideas that we watch zombies for, entertainment, and we laugh at that they do the same thing all the time. Their main goal is to eat brains, all that other stuff, and yet we are doing the same thing essentially. Jacob Burak's Escape from the Matrix. So this essay focuses on society's wants and needs to be perfect all the time. And growing up, I was subject to this as well. I wanted to be perfect, and so did most people. He even coins the term FOMO, otherwise known as fear of missing out. So he mentions how it is an unease of feeling that others are having a more rewarding experience and we're not a part of it. People want and will always strive to fit in, and unfortunately this is just the way society goes, and it sucks because kids are being taught that this is how people should look, this is how people should act. If you're rich, you're the best, and if you're poor, you're not. But it's just, people will always want and will always strive to fit in. He then reinforces an anecdote, which, for those who still believe they're missing out, as he expresses the wise words of Ralph Waldo Emerson. He says, "For everything you have missed, you have gained something else, and for everything you gain, you lose something else." So that quote, it's kind of, either way, you're going to be missing out on something, so might as well just make the most out of what you're given. And then the last essay, which is titled Why Video Games Should Be Played with Friends, Not Online Strangers. It's written by Bo Moore, and the writer includes the reasoning as to why playing with online strangers isolates those who play and prevents them from growing. So in terms of they're playing with people that they don't know when they could be playing with friends and having more of that connection. As those continue to play with those online strangers, they're becoming more and more alone. It is important not to lose sight of those who you can play with in real life, even through a virtual video game. So his basic topic was kids and overall people should be playing with people that they know, and they should be playing, just so they have that, overall connection with who they know and who they're playing with. So that concludes this week's vlog, but so that was chapter 7 of the Rhetorical Act and chapter 13 of the Rhetorical Act and chapter 7 of Reading Pop Culture, and we will see you next week for vlog number 3.